You ever been in a situation where standing up for what you believe in could cost you, well, pretty much everything? Today, we're going to dive into the story of Daniel. He's a man who faced that exact problem and somehow came out the other side. So, what does true courage actually look like? We're going to explore that very question through Daniel's incredible story. See, it's not just about being brave, it's about holding on to who you are when the world is trying to force you to be someone else. Okay, so our story begins in a time of complete chaos. I want you to just imagine for a second that everything you know, everything familiar is just stripped away in an instant. Daniel and his friends, who were basically young men from really good families, are ripped from their homes. And they're not just, visitors in a strange land. They're captives. They're forced to serve in the court of this incredibly powerful foreign king, Nebuchadnezzar. And look, this wasn't just a change of address, their entire world was turned upside down. Imagine it. You're surrounded by a new language, new gods, new customs, and you know deep down that one wrong move could be your last. The pressure to just give in, to blend in, it must have been immense. And that pressure to conform, that brings us to their first major test. And it didn't come in some huge battle or a big public debate. Nope, it came from something way more ordinary. The food on their plates. So you've got two choices here. On one side, there's the king's table, just overflowing with all this rich food and wine. It's a symbol of power, of fitting in. And on the other side, a simple meal, just vegetables and water. It seems like such a small thing, right? But it was actually a quiet act of rebellion, a way of saying, we will not compromise our beliefs. So what happened? What was the result of this little act of defiance? Well, it's probably not what you'd expect. Instead of being punished, they actually ended up looking healthier and stronger than everybody else. This was the first clue that their faith wasn't just a list of rules to follow. It was a real source of strength. This early test really set the stage for what was to come. Daniel's reputation for being wise and having integrity just grew and grew over the years, and he ended up in a really high position in the kingdom. But you know how it goes. With great influence comes great envy. And that envy led him straight to his ultimate trial. And here's the really cruel twist. It was Daniel's integrity that made him enemies. His rivals, totally jealous of his power, they set a trap. They got the king to pass a law making it illegal to pray to anyone but the king himself. They knew Daniel wouldn't obey. And the punishment? A death sentence, being thrown into a den of hungry lions. So just like that, Daniel was thrown into the den. A stone is rolled over the entrance, sealing him in. And in that moment of what should have been absolute terror, something incredible happens. As the story tells it, when thrown into the lion's den for his faith, God protected Daniel from harm. The lions, these creatures that were supposed to tear him apart, they were totally calm, harmless even. Daniel makes it through the entire night without a single scratch. It's this powerful moment showing that even when he was staring death right in the face, his faith was like a shield. He wasn't alone in there. So what are we supposed to take away from this unbelievable story of survival? Let's break down some of the big lessons from Daniel's time in the lion's den. So what's the big idea here? It really comes down to three key things. First, faith isn't just a belief system. It can be a real form of protection. Second, it can act like a guide, helping us figure out what to do when we're facing tough choices. And finally, and maybe this is the most important part, it's a reminder that we're never really alone, not even in our absolute darkest moments. So when we use the word faith in Daniel's story, we're not talking about just a casual belief. We mean a deep, unshakable trust in your principles. It's a conviction that you hold on to even when you are literally facing death. And that brings us right back to the question we started with. Daniel faced actual real lions, right? But we all have our own lions to deal with, things like fear or doubt or pressure from other people. Daniel's story really challenges us to think about where we find our own strength. What do we believe in so strongly that it gives us the courage to face our own dens? What are the principles that you would just never, ever compromise on?